What's your "oh, you're not joking" moment? I was eating ice cream, and an old guy walking into the ice cream parlor said, "Oh, that looks good. I'm gonna get a spoon." I smiled and laughed awkwardly until his damn spoon was in my ice cream. Had an old lady ask me when her dog would grow its leg back after an amputation. Did that as a joke when adopting a three-legged dog. Waited until the very end of the process when they ask if we have any other questions. Yes. How long will it take for the leg to grow back? Her face was priceless. We made sure to laugh immediately so she knew we weren't serious. I work at a hotel. We have this regular who comes but usually makes reservations ahead of time, and she has her favorite room she tries to get. Well, one day she walked in asking for a room. I had rooms available but not the one she wanted, and she replied, "Oh, call the guests in that room and tell them to move out so I can have it." I seriously thought that was a joke, and I played along, saying, "I'll get right on that," as I was getting her info in the computer. All of a sudden, she said, "Aren't you going to call them?" "Call who?" "Those guests in that room so I can have it." Oh, you really weren't joking. I told her that we don't do that. If she wanted that room, she needed to call ahead. "I have a room. I know it's not your preferred room, but it's all I've got, and you can take it or leave it, but I'm not moving a guest out." She seemed almost taken aback by that, but I told her that if she didn't take the room I had, she wouldn't get anything. She calls ahead now, but I was mortified and shocked she actually tried this stunt and actually meant it. Had a neighbor who was a single guy in his 40 ES, divorced, had a college-aged daughter that stayed with him half the time. Seemed like they were having a sort of family reunion one weekend, and I saw him talking with others out on his back deck. A little while later, I went over to ask to borrow something. His daughter answered, and I asked if her dad was there. She said her dad was dead, and I just chuckled and was like, "Ha ha, yeah, right." She just looked at me and turned around crying and went back inside. Her mom, his ex-wife, came out right away and saw I was confused, shocked, and very apologetic. She was really nice about it, saying it had just happened and was the first time the daughter had had to answer the door. Apparently, he had committed suicide. I obviously felt so terrible, apologized profusely. I thought for sure I had just seen him. And the way the daughter had announced it seemed almost lighthearted. Turns out who I saw on the back deck was his brother, who looked a lot like him, and all the family was there for the funeral. Have a relative who got a ton of help from us when they came to this country, checked in on his family, signed his kid up for sport, helped them move, gave them furniture, gave them heaters when they didn't have heat, etc. My pregnant wife was assembling his dad's bed while he was at work. Once he got on his feet and found some friends, he ghosted me. No call, no text, missed my kids' birthdays, not even an invite for a cup of tea. Recently got a call from him trying to sell me a car. That segued into talking about how he wants to move to another city. I'm wondering where he's going to get the money to do it, but overall, like, haha, yeah, I heard it's nice. That turned into wanting the down payment to be deposited into his account and a cosigner. Yeah. After politely declining for the sake of my father, I was told, "Okay, I won't keep you, bye." Edit. This got a lot of attention, and I'll add a little bit for context. The one time we genuinely needed him, his family had come over while he was still back home. A relative died suddenly, and there wasn't enough time to fly out for the funeral. Where we are from, you can't get anything done without a man. A woman just won't be dealt with by key people who are needed, which sucks. He was the closest male relative who could have assisted, was expressly asked to do so, and completely flaked. Just came to the after party and ate the food. That was probably the catalyst that helped wake me up to how he truly was. At a coworker's house, playing poker after our NFL fantasy draft. One guy asked where the bathroom was, and off he went. Came back a few minutes later, and the host asks if he seriously just took a shit in his house. We all laughed and turned our attention back to the poker game. He wasn't joking. He was genuinely upset that someone used his bathroom to take a shit. He said it was extremely rude and something you should wait until you get home to do. For some reason, I always feel bad if I had to go at someone's house, but I totally don't mind when someone has to go at my house. Working in a catalog store in the UK. You pick from the catalog, we bring it out from the warehouse. Lady comes in and orders the single largest thing we keep in store, a shed. Not a particularly big shed as sheds go, but still a shed. Okay, madam, if you give me your vehicle's registration number, I'll tell the security guys to let you round the back of the store. Park in Bay 5 and we'll load it for you. What are you talking about? You have to park around back so we can load it into your vehicle. I don't have a vehicle. Oh, well, we have the numbers for some white van men and taxi services if you'd like to. No, just bring it up. Keith can carry it. She indicates a portly man of around 50 across the room. He waves. Madam, it is a building. With all due respect to your husband, he absolutely cannot carry it by himself. She started getting angry, demanded that we bring the shed out to her. We did so. It too, 3 guys to even lift it. We got it into the lift diagonally, though it trapped a man behind it. And when it came up, she said, "What on earth is that?" "That's your shed, madam." "My Keith can't carry that." "Yeah, no shit. Would you like me to call a van service for you?" She actually just got a refund and left. Getting ready for a road trip. Multiple vehicles. Not everyone knows each other. Him. We should exchange phone numbers in case we get separated. Me. Oh, I have your number. Got it from Dan. I'll call you quick so you have mine. Call him and hang up as soon as it rings. Him. Okay, got it. Let me call you so you have mine too. Me. What? Him. Calls. Me. Confused. Him. Did you get it? I joined a work Skype meeting a few minutes late, and when I joined, I asked to be filled in on what had been discussed in the meeting so far. One of my colleagues, who is usually a bit of a joker, replied, "Well, boss lady, was just telling everyone about the new expectation that we wear our work uniforms while working from home." I busted out laughing, big hearty guffaws, wiping tears from my eyes. "Alex, that's hilarious. Can you imagine?" Nobody else laughed. We don't even have cameras in our work from home setups. Why the fuck would we ever wear a uniform working from home? I work at a call center. Used to work at a big bank that bought out another, somewhat smaller but still pretty big bank about 10 years ago. Some guy came in all pissed off because we didn't send him a new debit card with the new bank's logo on it. They intentionally made it so the old ones would continue working until they were originally set to expire. Said it was embarrassing. I can't be the only person who's gotten upset over this, right? Yeah, homie, you were. I had a friend with a very dry sense of humor. One morning, several years ago, he texted something to our group text like XX55 TT4 X Taurus FF, presumably a butt dial text, right? And then a little while later texted, "Sry, I had a stroke," which is exactly the kind of joke he would have made to apologize for the ridiculous text. So I said, "No worries, just lay off the sauce while you're at work." Turns out he'd had a massive stroke and was in the hospital, and had been attempting to text with the right hand only while wearing a pulse ox. He ended up with permanent left-sided hemiplegia, and it's a fucking sad story. And also, I felt like a huge asshole that day. Started coaching college basketball in the fall of 2020. Second day there, girl had been sick and went to the doctor to see if she had COVID. She came to meet with me and the head coach and said jokingly, or at least I thought, "Well, I don't have COVID, but I am pregnant." I laughed, thinking she was actually joking, but she was dead serious. I was working for Starbucks, and a customer ordered a caramel Madagascar. So I laughed, thinking it was a joke, and repeated it back correctly as a caramel macchiato. He was not joking and called me pretentious for pronouncing it correctly and to not name drinks hard-to-read words. My brother telling me I needed to request off the weekend, it was Thursday, because he was getting married, due to his underage fiancée being pregnant. Then, when I told him I needed at least a month's notice to request off, he told me to just quit my job. He hasn't spoken to me in a month because his, I guess then, fiancée, didn't like me and thought I was trying to steal my brother from her. My boss was understanding since I had been a model employee for the last few years. I got the weekend off. Saturday morning, I see my brother. Ask him if he was sure he wanted to go through with it. He told me I was no longer invited to the wedding. They were divorced within the year. Edit to add, she said as 16, dropped out of school 2 months before getting pregnant because school is hard and I can get that baby daddy money instead. He was 21. They were together for a month before telling me they were getting married. I only asked if he was sure because he barely knew the girl.
Wanna more? Subscribe Blah Blah Hero.